I adjust the background before I reveal myself.
Get the guns out before
How about all that?
we'll go live.
I don't know about all that.
I wasn't sure if there was anyone like popping up on, because you've been on YouTube before, John, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listening in on that. Joe, have you listened in via YouTube before, or?
No, actually, I just had Trey on my podcast the other day, and he mentioned it, and then he said you should come, and I thought he'd come too.
Normally he does.
Normally he does. He's a bit like, I think he's turning into Chris Jolly, where he's, we don't know where he is in the world anymore. Like today's in Philadelphia. Last week he was in Colombia, so he's enjoying his travels.
Yeah,
Robert, that beard is getting serious. By the way,
that doesn't sound like a Colombian accent. Do you work at Lean?
No. So I'm taking over. We've actually spoken before, Joe. I don't know if you remember this. We spoken before on Cybus 21, and I was potentially going to be a guest on your podcast.
Oh, yeah, with that gas thing.
Yeah, exactly.
How's that going?
It's actually going very well.
Good.
We've got a couple of minor thresholds to get over, but this new Steer Act that Biden just kind of released is I think it's a very good thing for us as a retrofit company. So
did you ever talk to my friend Steve Elwell about that?
No, actually I haven't. Send that over to me, and that would be
the reason I say that is he worked for a company very similar product for a while over here. I'm in Detroit area, so everybody's working on automotive stuff all the time. So
as we do, right?
Yeah, that's my background. I was mostly an automotive guy for most of my career.
It's definitely the right time for stuff like that, and I've got a couple of I don't know if I'm going to keep myself to the structure that Trey put in place for me, but like that's every week. Like he's got a nice structure, but doesn't always work if the polls are not there. So I'm not going to try to attend that one today. Greg, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Happy Friday. Always good here. It's not as sunny as where most of you guys are probably. Here in Scotland, it's literally your typical grey.
Pretty overcast here.
Yeah, it's about what it is here in Chicago. So
it's one of those ones. So
whatever's happening in Chicago is 24 hours from my weather.
Yep.
I live in Michigan.
Not wrong. Whereabouts in Detroit?
I live about an hour from Detroit. I live like in Howell. I grew up in Dearborn, right outside Detroit, but I moved out here like 20 years ago. So it's kind of the far reaches of the Detroit metropolitan area. Probably about 25 minutes to Ann Arbor, and about 40 to East Lansing.
Well, it's like I tell people I'm from Des Plaines and no one knows what it is. So I just tell them Chicago. It's a lot easier.
Right.
Same concept.
I should say Ann Arbor. I'm closer to Ann Arbor than Detroit now, but
no worries.
Sorry, you go, Joe.
And I was going to say, and now that football season's beginning, I'll be in Ann Arbor every Saturday.
There you go.
My son actually learned a new word where now we call football soccer. Well, we call soccer football over here, right?
Because we use our feet.
Exactly, right? So, because I'm talking so much with Trey and everybody else over in the US, every time I'm talking about football, I'm actually saying soccer. So my 3-year-old who's at soccer practice, he says, "Dad, it's not called football, it's called soccer." So he's actually adopting all the American words now. So that's where we're starting there.
That was the grand scheme, I'm sure. To start getting football called soccer and overseas. That's why Trey started this.
Yep.
It's just the first step towards world domination. That's really all we're doing.
It is. I was down in Mexico quite a bit before the pandemic, of course. And, we would always say, what soccer teams or what football teams are you with? Which ones do you, we were asked about the leagues and different things. And they kept talking about, well, yeah, I'm a whatever Mexico fan, but I'm also a Bears fan. I go, Chicago Bears? Yeah. And then and it was funny because they're like, oh, I'm a big Seahawks fan. You're like, really? Why? It was always this.
There's a bunch of Pittsburgh Steelers fans down in Mexico also.
My sister lived in Mexico, and her doctor went to the Seattle Seahawks when they went to the Super Bowl. My sister's like, "Why are you a fan of theirs?" I don't understand.
And like that's one of the things I would say. Like over here, like soccer here is great, right? Watching the soccer, but like anything else, like sports wise, like I'm lucky that we've got like a dish, so we can see all the sports like globally. Because like there's nothing better than like the American like sports season. It's just different. Here it's soccer all year round. That's great. But like if you want to watch the NBA, if you want to watch the football, like you need to be over there, right?
Let's just face it. There's nothing better than America. I mean, I'm just saying, back-to-back World War champs, biggest GDP, best sports. What are you gonna do? You can't touch us.
Everything is bigger and better, right? That's what I always say. So
That's
It's definitely bigger. It's definitely bigger.
That's because I think we have like 14 Scottish presidents, right?
exactly. There's quite a lot of Scots over there. So even like the guys here on the call will probably be like half Scottish or like a part Scottish. Who was it? Because Robert, I know you are. Like, who was it again? Who done this? I think it was Tony Darnell who done this. He done this this research thing about like his ancestors. Like
it's everybody. Everybody is here. It's the law, man.
Yeah, you need to do that.
I'm 100% Irish, but 5 generations into the U.S.
Five generations.
So we never. It just basically kept marrying people you met at the family reunion.
By the way, Chris, thank you very much for joining. So early on.
No, absolutely. Trey said he's not here, so I figured it'd be a good time to stop in.
Hey, here's the freight coach. How's it going, man?
That is a handsome face right there, is Chris Jelly.
What's that?
That is a handsome face, is Chris Jelly.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can you believe Rob got me a shirt all the way to Colombia? I didn't get my freight coach.
Wow.
Yeah, got lost. Dude, Juan, I told you, got lost in customs, man. It's tough out there, you know. It's UPS is backed up. I'm not a priority customer. I got every excuse in the world, man. I'm a freight broker. Fucking we can keep going.
Just blame the supply chain.
I bet you got a big cookie jar of answers.
Listen,
have you seen these ships in the port in LA, man? What do you want me to do?
the delivery truck blew a turbo. It's on the repair guy's on the way, and then
Exactly.
I'll send you receipts once I have.
How long? How long did it take for you to get that shirt?
Trey brought it when he came
Trey
down to
actually
Malaysia. Yeah. Rob sent it to him. Trey sent, and I had breakfast with Trey like 2 weeks ago. So he actually got me like a bathroom and bunkers one too, which is pretty cool.
Dude, that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to send it with Trey because Trey, according to him last night, he's gonna be in Colombia fucking weekly now, it seems, because and then it'll save me some import tax or something.
Trey is our t-shirt mule.
And he's talking about you, Jolly, right? Like that you're never here. But like he's traveling. He's like
I know.
Like,
He's such a hypocrite.
Yeah, he was at some conference. I saw him post that he was in some conference.
Yeah, it's like the home
Home
delivery.
delivery.
in Philly.
home delivery one, yeah.
That's a very curious one. I've never heard of it.
The home delivery got huge last year. Like that conference went crazy. Yeah.
What's
Like
the
what-
final
like
I guess
mile?
with the whole deliver everything at home type.
Final
of deal.
mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, last mile.
But that one is in person, right? Right now.
Yeah.
Who's going to LA next week?
And that's in
Oh,
person.
No. Okay. I guess that's just me. The IANA Expo.
Okay. Because like
You're-
there's
If they don't cancel it, I mean, if they don't cancel it, just like they did with F3.
I'm,
I didn't even know you could go into California right now. I thought everybody had to stay out of the state.
I received a
Sorry,
slip
I'm being-
saying you got a triple mask, so it's like I'm ready.
Yeah.
I bought a box.
Triple mask, full vaccination, 8 booster shot, then you can possibly be put on
Yeah.
a waiting list to
I went-
possibly
I got my
come in.
I went to
Wear a
Staples.
motorcycle helmet.
I went to Staples today. They made me wear a mask there, which is unusual now here in Michigan.
it's,
Well, I
so
love
he-
Arizona.
So what's the like that's state dependent, isn't it? Like here and
It's store dependent. I went to 3 stores this morning, and the
Here
post
in
office didn't care. Best Buy didn't care.
Here in the UK, we're now 90% vaccinated, double vaccinated, and it's only the under 16s, I think, or under 18s that are still kind of left.
Same here.
Is that the same there?
Yep, same here. People here are very chill right now. There's like this brand new variant called Moo. I don't know which cow spit it
that's
out.
what you guys are on now. We're still on Delta up here,
Yeah,
bud. So I'm sure the
but
new
we-
variant will be here in a couple of
people-
months when the
people's
polls start
like-
I got
swinging.
the hookup. I got the Lambda variant from South Africa. So I
Yeah.
got those. Yeah.
My sister
If
just
you
moved
go to a
home from
club in
South
Medellin,
Africa.
people
and
be
she
grinding.
didn't have
It's like-
any of that problem. Hallelujah.
Because like this, but this is the thing, right? With like we can talk about that every week, but that's probably what. Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
Well, what's your opinion about like F3 being virtual now? I was actually looking forward to that.
I was looking
Yeah.
forward to that. I'm very bummed.
I
Now
was
I
It's
don't
not
know
my,
what I'm
it's,
gonna do
it's
in
not my
November, December.
decision to make. It's not my decision to make. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It's like,
disagree with the decision that was made there.
I wanted to visit the pirate ship.
That's a good poll question, though. If it was your decision to make, would you hold it?
There we go. Yeah, that's see now that it's put
I
that
like
way.
that
If it
one,
was
yeah.
my decision, I would have kept
But
it
they're-
going.
you think about it, they're
I
like
like that. That's good. That's solid.
you think about Freightways though, they're a media company in addition to all the other great things they do. And if it becomes all of a sudden a super spreader event, that's just, I mean, it's just hard to live down. And you go what's the chance of that happening? Probably pretty rare, but
Yeah.
I don't
I
blame
mean,
them from
Joe,
that
I think at that
perspective.
case, you just switch the news network you're watching it on, and it'll fucking change the narrative. Sorry, I'll
Hey,
stop.
I'm
Well,
all set
I-
that way. I don't have
I will say
cable,
this
so-
too. There is a concern on the insurance front too. Some insurance companies are not willing to cover. Like, so I'll show it
yeah.
on the screen here. So this event that I was just at in Florida, this is just a picture that was taken during it. The biggest powerlifting event in the world, the WPO, and we all had to sign waivers in Florida that if we got it, that they're not liable because their insurance holder will not for the event will not cover it.
The state that I don't give a fuck signing in waivers.
That was probably the event
It was
organizer
one
who
of
made it. It
because
wasn't
their
the state.
insurance company would not cover it, and you kind of have to. You have people with 1,000 pounds.
Nah,
You have to have insurance on that.
yeah, I make sure if somebody finds the legal loophole on it and they start suing, it's a lot of people that can sue in the world with that.
Trust me, we're the United States. We are number one in that too. So if we wanted to sue,
Yeah.
we will.
We'll find a way.
Waivers be damned.
but they don't do that yet, do they? With any of the expos, where it's like any sporting events here, it's like or music events, there's like double vax. You need to have proof of double vax. Is that like? Do you think they should do that for like the expo?
Actually, Florida just passed some sort of state legislation that will it bans the requirement of some sort of passport or
Yeah.
vaccine passport. It's a $5,000 fine, up to $5,000 fine for every instance that an establishment requires you to show proof of vaccine.
Arizona did something similar to that. I'm not sure about the fines, but they put into law that you can't ask for a vaccine passport.
You
And
can
then
still
also,
say you gotta
like,
wear the
in New
mask
York-
or anything else, but
Yeah, there's a no mask mandate here either. They put that into law as well. And
I
Yeah.
wish I could have showed you the one they had here in like over here in the UK, the vaccine passport. It was literally something that came out of my printer, and that was the vaccine passports. And I think after 2 weeks they cancelled it because it was literally a piece of cardboard that you could print off in your own one, and everybody was just like printing them all by the dozens and selling them for like $5. And
Well,
it's
we had somebody I know that he got the vaccine, and like when you go to the Walgreens or wherever, you get the little card. Apparently the place that he had gone was running out of the cards, so they just took like a blank card and
course they did.
photocopied. And so he is, and he's like, this is my official document. It's on, regular paper, what have you. It's flimsy as hell, clearly been photocopied, and somebody just wrote in on it, and it's like, that's our official document.
that's like yeah.
Remember, it's about public health, Greg. It's about health.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Wander
like
with the
a
science. Wander with the science.
So
I heard Joe Rogan talking about it. I guess he got it. I don't know if he ever got vaccinated or not, but he's been talking a lot about the whole idea of like, if you just take care of yourself a little better, like too many people overweight, too many people drinking, smoking. And I was like, but what's interesting is he talked about it for probably the last year. And then I got COVID.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I got it. I had
it's
it.
funny how long it took it, like for this dude to get contagious.
Yeah. I had it.
Well,
a
he's
month
real
ago.
safe too. I guess every time
Yeah.
somebody comes to his show, they get tested. So he's been
Yeah.
real. But he was on the road, and he said, "I got one." But he said it lasted one day with him, and probably how long did it last with you, Chris?
Maybe 48 hours. I legitimately thought it was my allergies, and it was because I went to a really humid tropical climate for a few days, and leaving the desert, going out to that, and then coming back. I honestly just thought my body was like, "What the hell?" And then I had a slight fever, and I wouldn't even really call it a light cough. And then the only reason I went to get tested is because my son had a slight fever at school, and they're like, "Hey, he's got to get tested before he can come back." And I wasn't going to make him go through with that by himself. I would have never got tested if he didn't have that. To be honest with you, I didn't think anything of it.
I don't know if
But I can say this though, with 100% certainty, if you have respiratory issues and if you are obese, I could see how that could fuck you up, because I had a little bit of chest pains, but I could see how if you had something there, that would be an issue. But again, if you took care of yourself, like I'm not a doctor, this is just based off of my experience alone.
But you are afraid.
Not healthcare advice.
But
Yeah,
freight coach though, right?
Because this is being recorded. My attorney has told me to put that out there. This
Have
is
you
of
moved
my
medical
opinion
equipment
only.
or pharma?
No, but I could. I'm a broker at heart. I'll figure it out. You know
Here's
what I
Coach
mean?
MD.
Well, there's several radio hosts right now that are dead that wish they had gotten the vaccine.
Yeah, we were talking about
They- quite a few of them out there. You see them on their deathbed now saying, "Boy, I wish I would have got the
It
vaccine,"
was
after
real-
they told thousands of people not to get it. So
Yeah, I was
It's a
getting
mess.
I was getting a shot at my regular flu shot.
Mhm.
And I asked my doctor to walk through, and he said, "You gonna get the vaccine?" I said, "Should I?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, "All right." That was it. That was the research.
Yeah.
yeah, my
He
doctor said
went
the
to
same
med
thing.
school, so I wouldn't have to.
No, for sure. I mean, if you're at risk and everything, just like with a lot of things, like
Oh,
I mean,
I
both
hang out
of my
with my
parents,
87-year-old mom.
both of my parents got vaccinated. They're fucking obese and smoke and almost 70 years old. So yeah, get it.
You
know,
have to
by
in
all means.
Wisconsin, though.
Yeah, I mean that's what being obese and smoking. Yeah, that's pretty much fucking right after you graduate high school. Miller Lite, smoking, and obesity. That's Wisconsin's fucking
It's a fun
tagline.
time. It's a fun time.
I see it on the sign when I drive up there.
Okay, Greg.
Now, the question is, did they actually die of COVID, or did they get hit by a car and then it was just they had COVID while that happened?
You see, it's a plot twist because the driver of the car had COVID and coughed on him as they drove by and gave him COVID.
So he must have touched the bumper of the car.
Exactly.
And that's where the narrative is like, okay, are they just publicly shaming him? Like, they're just like COVID shaming him, or this actually happened as they say? And mainstream media has been known for being very
No,
bad
they're
at telling the truth.
They're the most ethical people on the face of this earth. They're not controlled by money and donations and subscriptions
Jeff
and
Bezos.
narratives. Yeah.
No, exactly. No.
Are you guys ready? Do you guys have your tin foil hats ready?
Always.
Always? Okay. So there's something on the internet that says that COVID was actually a thing, but it was actually overloaded by Amazon in order for them to sell more.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yes. This is my theory. Imagine. No, I put the whole theory together that this is all about the greatest wealth of all time.
And
all it was
Blockbuster
was
and
because-
Sears.
was
they're-
because Bezos got really high one night and watched Austin Powers says, "I too will build a dick rocket." That's dude. I've been pumping that for like a month.
Oh,
But
that's
do you
great.
think the only question here is who's going to play Jeff Bezos, right? That's the only
But it
question.
has to be Austin Powers, dude. That
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers, it has to.
Dr.
It has to.
Evil.
They just got to put him on platforms and make him laugh
I mean,
prominently
I'm
very
saying,
loud.
Hey, I do have
Now
to
he's
jump
bald,
here.
he's
I'm
got
sorry.
a cat.
No, Jim Carrey, bald.
No,
Just make him eat a little bit.
Jump. Have a
No,
good
I'm
one,
saying-
guys.
Continue,
Good to
Chris.
see ya.
Have a great
See you
weekend.
guys.
See you, Chris.
Look at Dr. Evil. He's bald. He's
God.
single. He's got a crazy cat. Look at Jeff Bezos. He's bald. He's single. We've already been to his house. Does he have a crazy cat?
He must have a
Okay.
cat. 100%.
Oh, Juan, you just made my day, man.
No, there's just so many things going on with Jeff Bezos on the internet right now. It's
that's
ridiculous.
just so.
So, for example, the Sears ticker on Wall Street is surging in price, and we all know Sears is broke, right? And Blockbuster as well, it's surging in price. And Blockbuster's been dead for probably 3 decades. Maybe exaggerating a little bit there. Everybody's like, why is that happening? It's all related to Jeff Bezos. Nowadays, everything, Jeff Bezos.
Or
Talk about Jeff
Reddit
Bezos.
or a Reddit board.
Yeah.
Talking about Jeff Bezos, right? So I think I've mentioned this before. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this. We was on the news here where they overstock the Amazon warehouses. And any overstock that doesn't get sold in a certain period of time gets skipped. So just literally gets binned and ends up on the land.
When you say skip, what does that mean? Does it just go skip to the garbage or
Like
skip
to the garbage, like into the landfill? Yeah.
Yeah, they keep raising the bar. Like, when you have a warehouse like Amazon, and it's not a store, it's not storage, it's movement. So like if you have 100 SKUs and 20 of them move, they don't want your other 80 anymore. I mean, they really punish you for that. If you talk to anybody doing that Amazon FBA, the bar raises constantly, which it should. I mean, that's, if you're Amazon, they're saying we don't want to store your goods. No one has enough space to mask your inefficiency, especially when you're doing it for tens of thousands of companies.
But then as well, who on here has never ordered from Amazon? No one, right? We all use it.
Don't look at me because I got gray hair. I've used it.
I've used the hell out of it.
Yeah, I used
like
it when they had a
Rob
1-800 number on there too. Remember at the beginning, they had the right on the front homepage 1-800 because they're afraid people wouldn't buy from them if they didn't.
Amazon is one of those things that I use, but I don't like using. It's like Google. I have to because I'm lazy, but not that I really like them.
Some of the products on there, right? Like I think it's almost amalgamation of Alibaba as well, because some of the stuff that you get on there sometimes that comes.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what the FBA's those sellers do is they'll buy stuff on Alibaba because it's cheaper there, and they'll actually have it sent and distributed through Amazon's network.
Yeah, it's forget Jeff Bezos. Whatever happened to Jack Ma? I keep thinking he's under house arrest over there. I think he's got a choke chain on under his collar.
He got belted.
I mean,
he's alive. He talked a few months ago, but he's not giving any more inspirational speeches or criticizing the government regulations. He got over that.
I mean, in China, when they go, when they're prosecuted by something like that, aren't they usually like, pew, pew, you're dead
I
now.
don't think they would do that because of how high profile he is. But I think he's under house arrest.
I mean, Kim got his uncle. You never know to that side of the world what could happen,
When I used to work in China a lot, it's crazy. This goes back in the 90s, but I remember I got something from the State Department. Says make sure none of your guys hook up with Chinese girls. Mm-hmm. And since the TV we didn't have American TV or English speaking TV, we would watch, go to the bar because you're on 12-hour time difference too, so you're wide awake. And the Chinese girls would be always in the bar, and apparently, what this Chinese government got in the habit of doing, and this is from the State Department, would say, "Hey, hook up with one of those guys over there and point them out. We'll give you this much money."
Mm-hmm.
Guy goes, takes her back to the room. Next morning, she's found dead. They arrest that guy. They call the State Department, say, "Yeah, another one of your American businessmen killed a nice Chinese girl." That's how cheap life is there.
Oh.
Yeah, and
this is one of the other things. I've lived in China for like 6 to 9 months, and one of the other things which was very weird seeing that you never saw a disabled Chinese person. You just didn't see it. There's certain people like this.
Yeah, I saw one dog. I've been to China 10 times. I saw one dog, and somebody asked what its name was that we were petting it. I said, "Call him Buffet for now."
That's one of those things that I just cannot conceive with.
I ate dog accidentally because my
my
host tricked us into it.
Joe, when you said that, my dog like perked up and looked at me like, "Dad, what's going on?"
Yeah,
Oh,
it's funny
no.
because this guy who's an American living in China, who's the CEO of the company, been there for years. He goes, "Hey, how'd you guys like that goat?" I go, "Not bad, not bad. You know, it's a little different." And he goes, "It's not goat." I go, "It says goat on the menu." He says, "That's what they always say when it's a dog."
Ah,
I was like,
Totally
"Oh."
different text, yeah.
I'm gonna have to get my dog a psychologist after this. He heard that.
That's why I'm using headphones.
Dad, Ginger's snorting right now. Like, nah, I don't like this, Dad.
Give me a nice beer that's got a cap on it, please.
And I've been throwing down the red meat a lot just because I learned. Like, I mean, I grew up in a farm, and I remembered as a kid, you would name a cow, and you name a cow, and they get used to their name. They understand their name and their place in the world. So I kind of go back to that every time I see the meat. Go like, I mean, I love meat by all means, but it kind of is really making me put the brakes on it, on the red meats and everything. And chicken is not that good to say like I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'd be
I don't know how
happier-
they do
I'd
it
be
with
happier
dogs,
when
man. Like, how do
I'll
you
be
do that?
happier when they do it, make that stuff in the lab.
Well, I mean, Gates did say that, and he got grilled for it.
No, I don't think it's good. I don't even think it's that hard.
Oh, I
That's
see what you did
I don't
there.
want them cloning
Yeah.
people. Clone us some steaks.
Well, that's one thing we've got quite well over here, right? Like good Angus beef steak, like.
I really do want to try one of those Beyond Meats, fillets to see if it actually tastes like normal meat.
Like what? Because now they even talk about like 3D printing. Like I think they started with vegetables, but they even said that it could mimic 3D printing meat equivalents. I don't know how that would work though, but it's
Yeah, I lost a bet once and I think the Whopper had a Beyond Meat or whatever it was called, and it was not
I'm with
not
you.
great.
I'm with you.
It was not good.
I
It
threw
was
out half the
Bed
stuff
Bath,
I
not
bought.
Beyond.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it, and I'm definitely gonna try it by next week that I'm in the U.S. and I'll let you know how terrible it was.
You literally did not pay me enough to eat that crap.
It's also like it's not particularly it's not a vegetable. It's not meat. It's very processed. That's another thing. It's not
Not that healthy for you.
so
Nothing is healthy nowadays. If you think about it, nothing is.
I mean, we can't even breathe our own air, apparently.
Folks, I got to drop out as well. I got another call I got to make, but
Yeah.
y'all have a great weekend.
have a great
John,
weekend.
have a good
John.
All right.
Yeah, I was just walking around the lake and there's a guy I see at the gym and he said, because my wife and I are going to pick up a half a cow or half a side of beef or something. I was like, "Whoa, you're really into it." He goes, we were trying to be vegans and vegetarians. He goes, but he goes, it's just hard to kind of get around the fact that it's where the protein's at. It's where the nutrients are at. He goes, we're and he said, because it's easy to gain weight as a vegetarian. I was like, it's easy to gain weight no matter what I do.
And it all depends what you do after, right? After the eating part of it. So it's but by the way, has anybody like seen with in relation to Ida? Has anybody been affected that, or anybody like seen anything, or like family, friends?
The news are terrible. My friends in Florida that said it was kind of bad, but they're good. So it's like,
I have some friends that are up in New York and Connecticut, and they said it's kind of bad right now. There are a couple areas in Connecticut that got hammered pretty hard. I guess one of the weatherman who's like fairly famous because he's on American Ninja Warrior all the time, almost got stranded like in the middle of the street because the waters rose so fast that the van had to be abandoned. They basically like wait out of there with the equipment.
Yeah,
But I guess like New York City was hit pretty bad, and so
we've got family over in New York, and they were like the amount of rainfall. They've got nice. They're suburbs. They've got a very nice outdoor pool, but it was the rest of the garden as well. So it was like just completely blank.
They said it was three inches in less than an hour.
I mean, my brother lives in New York, but he lives upstate, so they didn't feel it that hard. He was totally okay in that sense. I guess the island is the only one that really got flooded, but the videos were pretty impressive. Like that was wild.
So,
but in Tennessee, like 4 weeks ago, there was also this rather wild flash flooding. Forget the name of the town.
But this is one of the questions I've got, right? So we had a discussion last night around the dinner table, and of course I'm all about like sustainability and you know, like the planet and whatever, like climate change. But like one of the things that have always been says, okay, this has been going on for like hundreds of years. It's already had like a stagnant rise. Whereas a lot of people now say like, no, it's all because of course, the carbon emissions that we're emitting and everything else. Great seeing you, Greg.
Juan.
Robert
and Juan.
Robert and Juan going. Okay, both of you guys.
No,
Great
no.
seeing you guys, and but I'm like, you know, in that sense, are we really like what we're seeing now? What's going on with the rise and like all these natural disasters? Has that not always been the case? But like, it's yes, we might have seen an increase.
Right. I don't know. There's that famous scientist, Greta. She lives by you over there.
Oh yeah.
You would know. Ask her.
That's just media coverage, in my opinion. But you know,
Is that an unpopular opinion for you, given your industry and green thinking?
well, it's this kind of things where it's, of course, like I know this is recorded, but on the other sense, I'm like yes, I'm all about like making sure that like not just the industry, but like many other industries, if we can be greener, if we can be better at what we do, we should be doing it.
Right.
But then being so blunt and saying because of what we're emitting, you know, and say it was logistics, right? Like whatever, how many trucks are on the road and how much carbon emissions they emit. But what about the rest of the planet itself? They're talking about like, what was this show that they were talking about the oceans emitting so much, and like about the plastics in there and everything else.
I think a better way to look at this is my own perspective is, yeah, we all want better for the planet. If we can keep it clean, that's best. But from our perspective as business people, you don't ever question if you say, hey, customers want customer service. You never say, no, they don't. They don't want that. Let me explain why you don't want that. And this is how I feel about it. Consumers are saying we're making purchasing decisions based on sustainability, right? So the brands are saying they want it. We say we want it. So if somebody says, well, you know, I'm not even so sure what's going on. Who cares? Your customer wants it. that's kind of how I feel about it. And I think also, you know, I'm a pre-internet guy, and I can say at one time you could bolt on this green image, right? You have greenwashing, they would call it. You can't do that
not
anymore.
working.
It's we have transparency now. So like if, you know, when you hear something about Amazon mistreating people in facilities, and I don't know that they are, but you hear that kind of press, that doesn't help them. I mean, you hear Apple uses Foxconn and that's, you know, not proper treatment of people. That hurts your business. And the same with the sustainability or lack of sustainability. So I think, you know, we as logistics guys, we're being asked by our customers to do it. And as you know, personally, you can have any view you want. Professionally, I think the view is customers want it. They want it like cost savings, and they want it like on time.
You're right, because the thing that we seen was one of our clients here over in the UK lost a contract because they weren't green enough, and of course that's when he got in touch with us. But that was like, it's not because they didn't want to. It was at that moment in time they just didn't need to, until their clients were saying, no, we're pushing that through the supply chain. You need to be greener to drive for us. So they lost the contract.
Yeah, I can tell you, I did 2 podcasts yesterday. Things are changing. One with Remora. Remora does carbon capture from trucks, and that's brand new. I mean, and they're very excited. And they've got a lot of trucking companies behind them. And then I also interviewed the guys from Truck Labs, and they've got those aerodynamic, basically their wings that go between the tractor and the trailer, and it knocks off like 4 to 6% of the fuel. And those are both ways to make money and also do right by the environment. So those are gonna be the winners. The stuff that's not gonna be the winners with our industry is these things they say, hey, you have to do this. Anything that's top down, We're not like, it's just that like hours of service. Everyone wanted safe driving, but I don't know that we wanted the hours of service or ELD crammed down our throat the way it was.
And I'm with you on that one, because I think it's all what, if the customer wants it, if the consumer wants it, then it gets pushed back up the way rather than the other way around, where we're trying to push it like from the top down. But therefore, like all these kind of, whether it's retrofits products, and they're all serving something. But the good thing there is, like, as long as, because this is what I always find quite interesting, where you can say that you're greener, right? And we all shout about it when we're green. That's great. But it's the same with eating biological, like, processed food and everything else. We all want, like, free range chicken. But if it costs us too much, then we'll just go for the process. At least 90% of us will. And that's the same with, I think, with all these green tech. As long as you can say to whatever your client will be that they will saving while saving the planet,
right,
then it's a win-win situation.
I think you also see consumers are spending extra on something in some cases. Yeah, you might say, I'm not going to spend an extra $100 for a sweater that's organic, but we are, what's happening in the West, certainly here and certainly in where you live, in the incredible wealth. I mean, compared to your grandparents wouldn't have paid an extra penny for something that was green, because but you will, and your kids will.
Yeah, well, it's therefore, like, we always, like, sometimes, like, I've asked this question before: is it a trend, or is it something that will stay? Like, and initially people could see it as a trend because it was hip to say. But of course, now you see it sticking around more, and certain positions opening up as chief sustainability officers that never used to be there. Like, it's these kind of things that you see it, like, we are taking it more seriously. But
part of the reason the supply chain is going to get shorter is because of green. I mean, we're going to move stuff back from China. It's going to be here, made in North America more, either in China or, in either Mexico or here. Maybe Canada.
You think Canada's up for it from an industrial perspective?
Yeah, I think 75% of their moves are over the border, right? Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's again, but it's always been.
They do a lot of manufacturing right in Ontario. It's a big business there.
And has it changed the way people purchase things though too, with the log jam? If you needed a piece of furniture,
oh God, what a crazy
now you might
time.
opt for the piece of furniture that was made down the road in Fort Worth rather than being made in China.
Yeah, and Peloton bought some facilities here. One of my daughters bought a Peloton. She said it took like 65 days or something rather than 30 to get it. And and then Peloton bought some company here so they could do more manufacturing here.
That's been and of course I don't want to throw it like too much with taking Trey's position right now, but with what we're doing with Cybus, that's one of the main things where we've always said we want to manufacture in the place where it's purchased, because it just makes sense,
right?
And that, like, we see it now with all these microchips that's coming from Holland.
Yeah.
That's getting out of control. Do you see that Ford is pretty much firing their people just because they can't complete trucks?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, how globally can we just rely on that tiny?
I never thought my computer would be valuating over time instead of devaluating. Like, my graphics card right now, it's just going tick, 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 tick.
So we're looking at buying a new car, and so we're driving an X3 4x4. So we bought it 2 years ago. It's, when we're selling it right now, we're not losing anything, which is madness. It's not depreciated over the last.
I just did a podcast, and it was based on a speech I gave like 7 years ago at a university, and it was supply chain 1940 to 2040. And rather than talk about everything, all I talked about is a skillet, an iron skillet. It's the man's oldest tools, putting stuff over a fire. So they always made them in Wisconsin, where freight coach is from. And then they moved him from Wisconsin down to Mississippi, Arkansas, low cost labor states. Then it moved over to China. So all of our skillets come from China. Now they're coming back here. And the difference is there's no more labor arbitrage. There's no advantage to Chinese labor. Their manufacturing labor is going down too. Automation is growing. So we, rather than have that 1 month on the ocean and, container problems and all the other stuff, you could have an automated facility. I think the challenge will be for here is everybody loves the idea of, I don't want it in my backyard, right? I don't want it in my backyard.
Mhm.
Build it over somewhere else. So they'll have to be green, greener, more sustainable, or Mexico. And then even Mexico is not going to want that. I think they've tolerated it, but I think generally speaking, the world is saying, make those supply chains much shorter. And also, I don't know if people pay close attention. The liberalization of China that was going on until 2014 is really going the other way. I don't know if you paid attention. People are disappearing. It was in the newspaper today, online newspaper, that they had a top actress, like their Oprah. It's like, bye-bye. She's very wealthy and very influential, and she just disappeared. That's not the kind of country we want to work with.
No, I don't like when we were over there. My wife and I watched 7 Years in Tibet, at one night, and we had it on a memory stick, whatever. So we watched the movie. So the next day, back to work, we went for lunch with the whole office and the staff. And what did my wife do? She was like, you know what? Like, I'll ask that question. I was like, no, don't. So she asked the question. By the way, Kevin, which was his Western name, where does the Dalai Lama live right now? That was like just a genuine question she wanted to know, but the complete wrong situation to ask that question in. And there was like around 25 of us, I think, and 3 of us were Western. So 22 of them stood up, held their chopsticks in the hand, like banged on the table and chanted, "We love China." And then 5 minutes after, he pulled us apart and pulled us away and said, "Never ask that question in public." Because it's these kind of things, as you're saying, Joe, like these kind of things where they say, of course, one thing has happened, but if you're disputing or anything, what's happened that we've seen over here, one of the other things is, for example, the Tank Man. Go to Beijing and show the picture of the Tank Man, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my guys one time created a PowerPoint presentation with a cover that said, China programs or something. And I remember giving this big presentation in front of like 50 people and just kind of go first slide. All right, we're going to talk about this, click. And then somebody goes, hold up. It was a party member. He goes, go back to the first slide. And I went back to the first slide. He goes, no, the cover. I go back to the cover. He goes, what do you see there? I go, oh, it's just China programs. And then there's the map of China. He goes, is that all of China? I go, I don't know. I go, why? Wait. He goes, where's Taiwan? And I go, I don't know. And I was like looking at Eric, the guy working. I go, Eric, where's Taiwan? He goes, I don't know. He goes, Taiwan isn't on there because like PowerPoint doesn't have, or some of the graphic that they put on there didn't have China. And he goes, are you saying, Joe, that Taiwan's not part of China? I go, no, I am not.
I'm just trying to put it on a picture.
I just was, he goes, all right, well, could you update that slide? And please don't do that again. I was like, sure. And then like a whole bunch of people leave the room and there's talking in the hallway. I was like, okay, let's just make cars, dudes.
Nick, you really caused I have like this curiosity itching. What happened with the Dalai Lama and the Chinese government? Like, do I have to see the movie?
No, but
or is it a simple?
No, so when you watch the movie, you never watched the movie.
Yeah, is that the one Brad Pitt's skiing?
Yeah.
He has an affair with the girl that's not paying attention to him.
Exactly that.
First and only time Brad Pitt doesn't get the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly that one. When you go over to China, or if you want, because we wanted to go over to Tibet when we were there, we never made it over to go actually. But what China basically is saying, how great they made Tibet, right? It was because of the Chinese ruling. But of course, you know, what we hear over here is what they did and how they forced everybody out. And, you know, like
they just cram that I think 90% of the people who live in Tibet are Chinese, so they just moved them
right
in.
now,
And
They did a Crimea.
so what the Brits and what the Brits and the Scots did to my Irish ancestors.
Yes.
they bred them up.
Yeah. That's why they all love each other like nowadays. So, like, especially during the soccer season. So it's
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but like I think here in the United States, the only place you'll hear them say Scots Irish. You don't hear that anywhere else in the world, because the original Scots Irish would be like, yeah, I'm from Ireland, but I'm for the last 100 years, my family lived there, but really I'm Scottish. I'm one of you.
That's we were talking about it, like how all these kind of things changed, and like ancestors and everything else. We were even talking about New York, how New York used to be called New Amsterdam because of, you know, that's why there's so many Van Harens and whatever it is over in New
More
York.
Italian than anything now.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. But never got the name though. The Italians never got the name.
No.
Like we've like the Dutch had like New Amsterdam for, I don't know how long that was there for, but by the way, Diane, we've not even heard your voice.
I know.
She's just focused. She's like
so focused. I've never seen you so focused.
Yeah, and she's in the office now. It's like
you're on mute.
She's on mute. Her microphone don't work.
No, still on mute.
Nope.
That's it. So you're just listening in. Brilliant. We're glad that you're here and that you're in the office. It's great seeing you in the office, not in the basement, right?
You know, there's something that I got from like fantastical literature that I think should be a thing in the world, and it's a ministry of truth that's completely independent of the government, and its only job is to verify ads and
we used to have that.
Verify
we used to have that
comps
with the
and shit.
newspapers.
Really?
Used to.
I mean, but what in the Nixon Reagan era maybe?
Yeah, it's never been 100%.
Not with Jeffrey Bezos on the Wall Street Journal. That's definitely not.
No, he owns
or the
it.
Washington,
Yeah,
Washington Post. My bad.
Yeah, actually, Wall Street Journal's pretty good, but it's not perfect. None of them are.
Diane, you're connected to audio.
Nick, another thing is the most popular cars in the US in the next year, I can guarantee you, are those trashy, 2000 Corollas, 1992 Corollas. Those things are going to become gems because those things run with whatever. You can put sand in the gas tank and that thing runs.
That's still that like here nowadays, like it's around the 2000, like the 90s. The 90s cars are like going up in value right now massively.
I just Googled it out of curiosity when we were talking about the whole Ford thing, and they're going for $5,000 already. And those are cars that are like 20 years old, 30 years old. They used to get them on eBay easily for $500. I think one of my nieces bought like her first car like that. With a $500 check, boom, she got a Toyota.
My first car was a VW Mark I, which I bought for new Sony earbuds. A great return. Got it from Amazon.
My first car was a Volkswagen Beetle that my mom and dad had kept in the garage for years, so me and my friends could get drunk and crash it.
It's like so.
It was okay back then. It was different times.
Exactly, but like I looked that up because I said the other day I wouldn't mind owning the same car again. I paid like an equivalent of like $500 for it, right? When it was out. Now, if I want the same car in the same condition, I will probably pay around $20,000 for the same car, which is absolutely ludicrous. Ordered from Amazon. Yes, Diane, you ordered your new headphones from Amazon. That's it.
I always say the same thing. I've worked in automotive for 25 years, and I still say it all the time. I'll start buying nice cars when they appreciate. they don't. And every year Forbes runs basically the same article saying people are spending too much on cars. And what's always crazy is when you drive around, you see somebody in an Escalade, you're like, you pay like $1,000 a month for that.
But that's another one of these things. What so here over in the UK, I don't know if that's the same over in the US. Here in the UK, you don't see a lot of old cars because everybody leases or semi-lease purchase their cars. So they pay like a monthly amount, whether you work at McDonald's, but they drive a brand new BMW X5. And you're like, how is that happening?
That's California.
Because nobody they can afford, like, they still live with mom and dad, and they can afford $500 a month.
But European cars in Europe, they're not expensive. It's not the same buying an Audi in the US or in Colombia, especially in Colombia, than buying it in Germany. It's just, they use them as taxis.
Well, yeah.
Just think about it. The compressor series, the C series in Germany, they're taxis.
Yes,
and we buy them as luxury cars.
The ones in Germany, I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you've ever been to Germany, it's all C or E class taxis. But the funny thing is, you see them in this kind of magnolia yellow color, right? Because that's the way they roll off the factory. So they don't color them, they don't paint them. It's just a factory color, like the base coat, and that's what they keep for their taxi color. Interesting fact for you there.
I know the BMWs and Audis and all these German manufacturers or European cars. I bet Volvo in Scandinavia, they have to be like mad cheap.
If you go over to Holland, if you fly to Schiphol and you go out, all the taxis are Teslas. They're all lined up because the government had when they first came out, they'd done a scheme and said, we subsidize half of the purchase if it was for a company, not personal use, if it was for a company. So everybody opened up their own personal taxi company and everybody got 50% refunded by the government.
Ah, that's America. That's very American.
Yeah. That's the type of thing we need to promote local industries. Like, you want to have a chicken coop? Here, we pay half of your chicken coop. And here are the customers, by the way.
Oh, I think the Steer Act is going to do some of that with the lower emissions stuff. Like, I think that's the guys who do the truck wings from Truck Labs. They talked about that. I just did a podcast with them. I didn't publish it yet, but when I do publish it, I talked a lot about the Steer Act. And he said, really, it's the Biden administration wants to do something more with him. And he said, this used to be kind of pushed by the Democrats, and the conservatives, the Republicans were slower to act. He says, but he goes, that's not what's happening right now. He says, seems like it's very bipartisan.
I wonder how quick that goes through, because what is it? Although then it's another thing. 500 million sounds like a lot but that's over 5 years. So it's 100 million a year they set aside for retrofitting technology that reduces carbon emissions. But if you get one of the bigger players that says, okay, you know what, we'll do that, they'll eat up that 500 million in no time.
Right. I think also, with both of the products that I've talked to yesterday, one of the thoughts that I had was, I'm from a manufacturing background. They, the costs just keep coming down. If you sell some 500 million of something, you're going to start finding ways to get more engineers on board and reduce those costs.
That's another one, isn't it? Like, that's one of the main, probably.
And maybe an OEM trucking company will say, I'm going to just make it standard on my trucks. It's not a big deal.
I wonder if the Steer Act will actually make that
Lego trucks. Lego trucks. We need Lego trucks. We need Lego phones, Lego laptops. That bastard falls and it breaks. You just open up, the component comes in, you switch it in like a Lego, and that's it. Your truck breaks down, a little box arrives, you just change the turbo. It just clicks in.
Getting better at all that, but yeah, you're right. It's just the idea of how to it. Also, it's funny when you get rid of like a laptop and you go, God, I'm getting rid of this, but it feels like such a waste because most of it's fine, right? I just need. How do I swap out the guts?
one of our employees let a laptop fall down the stairs. perfectly brand new laptop.
Is that not right?
That I mean, no, but the thing is that normally it's like, okay, it's a piece of equipment. Then I go look at it and I'm like, man, but this was a fine piece of equipment, and now it's a waste. It's completely done. It was like, and I know that if I want to buy her a new laptop, it's going to take me like 6 weeks to get it here, or to find it. If I don't want to pay the ridiculous premium that they're going by right now.
But it's always like based around like, you know, money, right? Because if we talk about 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, remember when we had the first Nokias? You could drive over that with a truck and that wouldn't break. Right? Remember those ones? I was actually where we moved house. Like, I know it's 6 months ago, but
I think it was Kyle who was convincing me to get a BlackBerry because of the notification system. It apparently is like, it's like a centralized notification thing, so you're not going crazy with your email and stuff. Considering it, I'm considering going away from Apple for a BlackBerry. Thing is finding one.
Well, that's what. But like, remember when it used to be the BlackBerry where you had the keyboard? Like,
yeah, it was cute.
you needed to have like, you know, fingers,
tiny fingers, or nails.
That's not happening.
But there's an elephant in the room I haven't heard mentioned on LinkedIn yet. I'll drop the bomb. Maybe it's subject for the next week's episode. How confident do you guys feel, or does the public feel in general, in regards to the infrastructure plan right after the Afghan fiasco with the current president? Do you think they're actually going to be able to pull it off, as they said during, while running for elections? Is it going to be that big? Worth considering. I mean, everybody's in a tight position in freight and capacity, and everybody's talking about like, oh yeah, January is going to be when everything's going to start slowing. Like, it's going to go back to normal, but if it does kick in, it's not going to go back to normal once those government contracts go out for logistics.
I don't see things like slowing down even in Q1 next year, especially because like so much things is, it's like every day something creeps up and comes up that just messes everything up again. So
we keep extending, right? You remember talking about July 4th? Oh, it's all going to turn around on July 4th, the summer slowdown. And then now we're talking people were talking Q1 2022. Now people are talking mid 2022. I mean, I've heard 2023s in business meetings with people that know the economics of things way better than I do. So,
do you guys think the infrastructure deal is actually going to go through? Like, it's going to happen?
I think like, to be honest, that's on the flip side, right? Do you think it's all political?
Well, I mean, it can pass, but plenty of things pass, and when action begins is a whole different story.
Exactly. Will it start straight away, or like? But that's what a lot of these things where I think it can drag on. So
it's interesting. I so tune out all that stuff now, and it's funny because so many people see the world through political lens now, which I think is just weird because you don't really control any of it. Like my neighbor, he was a big Trump fan, and he's got this bad back. He's 350 pounds, and he didn't get the vaccine. He got COVID, and then he's bitching to me about. And he's very successful. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "It's all right, And I know he's got heart problems, back problems, too heavy. And then he goes, except I'm just tired of all the damn lies. And I was like, "What damn? What are you talking about?" And he goes, and he starts going off about something political. I was like, "But that's so far outside of your control. How can you let something bother you that you can't fix?" Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And meanwhile, we all have problems we should be working on, right? Whatever they might be, Yeah, I'm just pissed off at this. So I'm pissed at Washington today. Oh, good for you.
I don't think anybody's been politically content in the last probably decade.
Yeah, it was funny though. I just disconnected from there. I mean, we all have our political views, but I was arguing with a buddy respectfully. We're not at all disrespectfully, and then it comes out he's got ALS. He's got Lou Gehrig's disease. He's going to die this horrible death. And then you go, am I really going to argue with a friend who's got that? It's like, is that what you want to, is that how you want to live your life? Like you go, oh yeah, I got the best of Larry yesterday. And then the next day, oh, I guess he passed away. Oh, yeah, life goes on.
I always try to shy
Horrible
away.
way to live. That's a horrible way to live.
Exactly, guys. I know we're running over, but like I want to say thank you all for for joining. I know Trey is probably he's not on the golf course today, so that's a new one on a Friday, which is great. I hope we can join him at some point.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Thank
can't.
you. Thank
I
you, Nick.
can't say I'm going to see you guys at F3. Maybe I will see you guys virtually, but I'm still hoping to finally make it over across and finally catch up with all of you guys.
Well, it'd be nice if we could all go to F3, but that's not happening this year. It's usually
Not this
virtually.
year, it will be next year. But have
Well,
a
thanks
great
for
weekend,
thanks for
everyone.
filling in, Nick.
No worries. Thanks for coming on, Joe. It was amazing. Kyle, Juan.
Good
Have a great
Good seeing you
weekend.
guys.
And,
Yeah.
All right, you guys
Thanks,
have a
y'all.
great
Great
weekend.
weekend.
All right, nice meeting you.